We have a couple of old-time Brown alums here like me tonight, and I think all of us can tell you that the transformation in the city from the time we were here to what it is today is simply astonishing. It's great to be here in a city that has really just come up and become one of the great cities in America today. And we're pleased to have with us here the 38th mayor of the city of Providence, Jorge Elorza.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the great city of Providence, the creative capital of the United States of America. Great to welcome you back, Eric, and I want to extend a warm and hearty welcoming to former governor of Delaware. Thank you so much. A Brown alum. Please join me in recognizing Jack Markell. We'll also be joined a little bit later by Martin King, human rights advocate and community activist. And talking about community activists, we have one of our finest, one of our best, Jim Vincent, the president of the local NAACP. Thank you for being here, Jim. So I wanted to take a moment to welcome everyone to the city, but also to share a little bit about, from my perspective, what I see happening in cities throughout the country and how we relate to what's happening at the federal level. And so, I was intrigued by this conference because I truly do believe that some of the most creative, in fact, the most creative work being done in government right now certainly isn't happening in D.C. And with all due respect, I don't see it happening at the state level either. But it seems to be happening in city halls and at the city level throughout the country. Cities are on the cutting edge. They're leading the way in establishing best practices and adopting forward-thinking policies, and everything from the economic vitality of our cities, promoting arts, culture, diversity, and reforming the way that we work within our city halls to make sure we're delivering better services and accomplishing more of our goals in our work every day. And I think it's fitting, and I think it's exciting that mayors are playing a leading role throughout this. While we see federal governments in general, but certainly federal government here in the United States, stepping back from its leadership role on a whole host of important issues, you have mayors all the ready and more than willing to step in and fill that void. As mayors, we're not driven by ideology, we're driven by evidence. And as mayors, we're not focused on winning arguments, we're focused on solving problems. One of my favorite ways of putting this is that it's often said that there are three main political parties in the United States. There are Republicans, there are Democrats, and there are mayors. And mayors are focused on getting things done. There's no Republican or Democratic way to plow the snow or to pick up the garbage. And we have this great responsibility to educate our kids and to provide opportunities for all of our residents. And so, when you see, retreat at the federal level on issues such as climate change, mayors are coming together. We're binding together. We're amplifying each other's voices, and we're plugging in that hole. At the same time, even on issues that you would always think were federal or even international issues, such as immigration, what we're finding is that, no, they're absolutely local issues. Because if a parent is afraid to send their child to school, right, that's an impact that we feel at the local level. If someone witnesses a crime and they're afraid to call the police department, that's an impact that we feel at the local level. And so these issues are absolutely local. And if you think about the role of cities, for the past 7,000 years, the role of cities fundamentally has been to bring people together. And that's what we continue to do as mayors throughout the country. And the reason why that's so important to us is because, take for example, the recent spate of natural disasters that we've seen throughout the country. Having that strong social fabric, high levels of social capital, that's the difference between people coming together, neighbors helping each other rebuild, and communities and neighbors looting out on the streets. That's why it's so important to have that social fabric be strong. That's the role of cities, and that's the role that mayors are playing, particularly in these very difficult, tense, and seemingly endlessly antagonistic political times. So whether it's immigration, whether it's climate change, whether it's social mobility, or the whole host of other issues that we care about at the local level, you see mayors amplifying each other's voice and working together to establish best practices that in the aggregate have much more of an impact over our residents' daily lives than the decisions being made at any other level of government. So it's an exciting time to be a mayor. It's an exciting time to be part of a dynamic city. So as you continue this conversation in this conference over the next several days, think about extending this greater good as a partnership with your local governments, and you'll find very willing partners and folks that are very able to step in and help you realize these goals of making our communities a much better place to live. Thank you all.